This video is a look at Demir running at 12.5 kilometers per hour, 2.5% incline. The video we didn't look at before. I'm going to break it down as I did in the session, and we'll start by looking at how Demir is landing, and we'll look at whether there's a difference between the right and the left foot. So here's the right coming into Footstrike in this position. Now, in terms of how we land, we can land in one of three ways. Way one is heel to toe. That's where the heel strikes the ground first and then the toe follows. We can have midfoot, which is where the foot comes down flatter. So we've got toe, heel landing simultaneously. And then we have forefoot, whereby we use the balls of the feet, but promoting a low heel as that comes in to foot strike. And that is the fastest way because there is only one point of contact with the ground and is encouraged with youth athletes. Now, in terms of Demir, his foot here, if we just zoom in, highlight the rearmost part of the foot is making contact. And what that lends itself to is as a high toe. So as I just come into this position, you can see where the toe position is down to the heel, and then what that leaves is a height for the toe to come down. Now, a potential issue with this over time is that with a high toe inclination, it can cause shin splints, so tibial stress, because of the impact's got to go somewhere, and also because the anterior tibialis, these muscles here, which I'm showing with the arrow, is going to have to work really hard to control the foot from really slapping down on the ground. So over time, over repeated stress, that could turn into shin splints. It could also contribute to any knee pain due to the impact forces, because that limb is coming, the leg is quite straight as it's coming through. So if we just play the footage through, you can just see how the foot hits the ground hard as it comes into that position there. So that's on the right side. If we watch the left foot as it comes in, again, heel strike for that hindmost part of the foot being used, and we've got a high toe incline here. So coming down to that heel is the angle of the foot, and then you have the height which is coming down to that point there. So what we will try and look to do is to alter the foot strike to forefoot, keeping a low heel so it releases any stress off of the Achilles and the calf. At the moment, stress will transfer to the shins and the knee. If we change something, then naturally with the human body, the stress will deviate somewhere else, but we can reduce that with a forefoot and a low heel. So if we come out from this position, and we'll look at now where Demir is landing in relation to his center of gravity. So we'll start with the left as we're in this point. I'm also going to highlight another aspect, which is leg cycle. But I'll first look at overstride. So where we land in relation to our centre of gravity is very important, because that enables us to pick up speed. It enables us to maintain speed. Now, where we've got the position here, we can see that we have a gap between Demir's left leg and right leg. Now, that position indicates that we are overstriding. Now, overstriding means that Demir is going to end up spending longer time on the ground than he would like to be, which means it's going to be very difficult to maintain or to pick up speed. In terms of an overstride, when we're running, we're either in flight mode, in the air, both feet are off the ground, in stance mode, where the body is going through, weight is going through one leg, or we have the other phase where the right leg at the moment is in mid-swing, which I'll come on to. We don't get injured in the air, we very much get injured in the ground, and running is stressful anyway. If we're running efficiently, then we're going to put 2 to 3 times our body weight through us. If we're running inefficiently, then that will increase to 5 to 8 times. And in terms of effect it will have, if we're spending longer time on the ground, there is an increased injury risk over time, because there is more time for the body to load out of alignment, and that can put stress on ankle, Achilles, knee, hip as it goes through the chain. So the compensation we have here is that from the ear down to the hip, we can see that the body is starting to flex forward, and we can see that by the angle of the hips just coming in this position there. Now, what that does is it makes it very difficult to activate the posterior chain, so the glutes and the hamstrings, which are the muscles we're looking to activate to propel us forward. At the moment, I would suspect that Demir feels his quadriceps, his hip flexors, either tight post-running or post-football, or feel those muscles tiring first, because they are currently being used to propel the body. And that compensation from the hips of coming slightly forward is to compensate for the balance. So as we take a bigger step to try and go faster, the body brakes, slows us down, and it does that, and it starts to lose balance, and it does that by falling from the hips. Now, one way to reduce the overstride is to work on the leg cycle, and we'll have a look in a moment at the right foot as it comes in to land. But the heel cycle is really important. So ideally, we want the heels to be coming up to hamstring or glute level. And the reason why is that activates that will activate the key muscles of the glutes and the hamstrings, which are the power muscles to propel us forward. At the moment, we can see that the heel is coming up to lower than the knee crease. Now that is inefficient, because as soon as Demir's foot leaves the ground, it is soon back in contact with the ground, which again relates to and linked in with overstride, which means that the left leg is having to brake at the quadricep in order to take the body over into the next part of the running. So by increasing the leg cycle, it will increase flight time, which will increase speed. It will also enable the foot to be placed better underneath the hips, which will really give momentum. So we'll work on that leg cycle to increase hip extension, which again is an indicator that it's potentially a little bit tight in the hip areas. Let's move on to the right foot. So we'll just take these arrows out. So as we come into this position, we can see that we have firstly an overstride. Just take this arrow out, not this arrow, this line out. We'll just draw another one. Overstride is reduced on that right side. And again, potential issues it can present is hip pain, potential groin pain as well, and foot pain just from that impact as it's coming down. So there we have the overstride on the right, and we've got that compensation of the back falling, and ideally we want to be upright, because falling forward turns off the glutes and the hamstrings. And if we look at the heel in terms of the leg cycle, we can just see that what we have here is that that left foot is lower again than the knee crease in that position. So the hip flexors and the quads are really working hard to pull the leg through, which is going to be inefficient in terms of a running motion. So we continue to play the video through. I'm just going to show you the leg cycle. You just see the difference there at the bottom. Just look at the bottom of the screen. Just see the difference in the lines between the right and the left. Okay, well the right is a little bit shorter. Right, if we have a look at the leg cycle. So we've identified the heels are low, and just to put it into more of a picture, we'll notice here that the heels, the feet stay very low to the ground. So where I've got the oval positions, you can see that the heels are staying lower than that circle, so it's an oval shape. So it's, as soon as that left foot leaves the ground, it's back in contact. Same with the right, back in contact. So what we'll aim to do is look for Demir to draw a circle with his heel, so it come up to glute level. And just looking at the position of the overstride, another way we know that we're overstriding is when we get into stance mode, where the weight is fully through one leg. This is where we have increased ground contact time. Is we can see we have an excessive bend of the knee, and that comes over the toes, which is a sign that the body is sinking. So the body shape becomes a little bit more zigzagged in its form, whereby what we're looking to have is to have it straighter. So where I'm drawing the picture here, because it's easier on the left hand side, you can see that we've just sunk down into the ground a little bit more. And if we have a look at the right, just put that image back in, so we can see there that we've just come into a little bit more of a zigzag. And if we put it into the right, we do that by just measuring the top of the head and the hips. And then when we get into stance mode, we can just see how we've dropped from the head position, foot strike, down to mid stance, where the weight is going through that right leg. And we can see that's quite a drop, which is just an indicator that we're sinking into the ground. So there we've got before on that arrow. Just want to put that in just to highlight where we are. Then when we come down, you can see the hips have dropped just to the top of the bar, and the head has dropped down as well. So we'll work on those aspects. Finally, on this video, we just look at the arms. And just before we look at the arms, three things that I should mention that Demir's got looking very well is that we've got the heel to the sky, toes to the ground in the leg cycle. We've got arms at a nice angled position. So we can see here that we've got those arms at that point, so nicely flexed at the elbow. And we've got the wrist facing the hips, which is excellent, because the important part of that is because that improves shoulder. So if we look at the arms, in terms of the arms, got a nice angle as I mentioned. We've got minimal arm drive, so in terms of the movement, it's coming from the back, and we can see that by that twist. So we get the 1, 2, 3, 4 dots really paramount. Now in terms of the arms, they're not coming any lower than the torso or any higher than the chest. If we play it through, you can just see they're staying at the Didcot Town badge height and just coming across the body. So we will work on arm drive in terms of using those. And if we don't use our arms, we waste more energy than we actually think we're we're using. So it's important that the arms really come into the action. So we'll work on an arm drive coming from hip to chin and keeping those on the same side of the body. Any questions about any of that analysis, please do not hesitate to get in touch. And there'll be a full description as well in the caption or the description box on the bottom of this video.